Today, we're going to make an easy shutter card for Christmas. You're going to want to DIY your holiday card ideas using this amazing FunFold project. Hi, I'm Lisa Curcio, and I would love to welcome you here to Lisa's Stamp Studio. A big shout out to Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to click the link below that's going to lead you to the project sheet. It's going to include pictures, cutting dimensions, and supplies, not only for that card, but for two other samples I'm going to share with you. Speaking of Craftsy, I would love to tell you a little bit more about them. They're your online resource for all things crafty. With over 20 different craft categories and over 2,000 classes, there is literally something for everyone. Whether you like to bake, sew, crochet, knit, or perhaps photography, there's even more than that. Just recently, I was looking for a new cookie recipe. The recipes I had were old and dated, and I was bored with them. So to Craftsy I went to get a great recipe. But I actually got even more than that. I found a great class on icing. So I learned all kinds of tips and tricks about icing my cookies, which is going to come in very handy with the upcoming holiday season. All of their classes are taught by professionals, experts that give you step-by-step instruction. And they're always adding new classes, so you'll want to come back and check often. It's a great place for you to connect with other crafters and DIYers just like yourself. As a member of Craftsy, you'll also have access to their live streaming events. Those are extra special because you're live with the instructor and the other class attendees. It gives you a chance to interact with each other, get your questions answered live, and of course, there's always that great feeling of community. And right now, Craftsy has an amazing offer for you. For the first 1,000 people to use the link down in my video description below, they're going to give you a full year premium membership for just $1.49. It's an incredible deal that you're not going to want to miss. Once again, I'd like to give a big shout out to Craftsy and thank them for sponsoring today's video. All right, we're ready. Let's get started on today's project. I'm going to be using basic black for the base of my card. I'm going to be using some gorgeous black and white and gold designer series paper. My paper trimmer with Stampin' Up! Includes both the scoring and the cutting blades. They will navigate up and down out of the way, which means you can leave them on the clear track. The first one is going to be at 2 1/8 of an inch. You'll see me lining it up here against the ledge at the top to make sure it's nice and straight. And the other one you can actually score at 2 1/8 on the other side, but I'm going to give you a better tip. This is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock, which is a regular card base. I find that if I score the 2 1/8 on this side, that sometimes when I fold the gatefold to the middle, it has a little bit of a gap. This works better for me. I'm going to fold on that first score line, making sure that these are nice and even. I'm going to go over it with my bone folder. I am going to take this side of the cardstock. I have not scored it, and all I'm going to do is curl it to meet the center crease of the previous score. And then we're just going to go over that with the bone folder. I find that this is going to eliminate any gap that you're going to typically have in the center when you score both sides. In the card that I shared with you in the beginning, there was no designer series paper here, and obviously that's an option. But I want to change this one up a little bit for you today. I've cut the designer series paper here ahead of time. This is from the brand new designer series paper package called Modern Christmas. And like all the Stampin' Up! Designer series papers, they are double-sided, giving you lots of options. One side is going to be themed, the other side is going to be generic, which means you can use it all year round. Black and white is always a fan of mine because you can always color this with any coloring medium. These two panels are going to go here on the front of the gatefold. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that now. I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet. This will be the wrong side of my designer series paper, and I'm going to add a very thin layer of glue all the way around using the precision glue press. I absolutely love this product. If you have arthritis like me and you find it hard to squeeze a regular glue bottle, that's going to be a game changer for you. That little trigger is very, very simple to use. It does not require much pressure at all. You're going to see that pink stopper down there in the bottom. When the needle tip of this glue press comes into contact with it, it's going to create an airtight seal. You're going to be able to find that product and along with lots of other of my craft room favorites, which are not Stampin' Up! Products, all linked for you on my website under Shop Craft Room Favorites. I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to add 2 more pieces of designer series paper to this area here. Now that we have the card base finished, we're going to start to work on the mechanism. This next piece I've titled The Bridge, and it's going to be working here in the center. The bridge measures 3 by 5.5 inches. Now I'm going to save you some trouble. You can't go any wider. I've tried it and it does not work because then the hinges to the gatefold do not close properly. This is from that exact same package of Designer Series paper, just a different pattern. And I'm going to make this my wrong side, and I'll go ahead and I'll add some liquid glue. This now will get layered here on the black cardstock. Next, we're going to work on what I'm calling the shutters. You're going to need 2 pieces. These measure 3.5 by 4. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, and I'm only going to be using it to measure. Of course, you can use a ruler if that's easier for you. This is the 3.5 inch side. We're going to leave that here across the top. What we need to do is we need to find the center of the paper. Half of 3.5 inches is 1 3/4. So I'm going to line this up at the 1 3/4 inch mark. I'm going to close the guide. Now my blades are up and down out of the way. I'm using my favorite little craft pencil, and I'm going to come here in the middle and I'm going to make a line. That's going to be the center. But we need to find the center in the other direction as well. So I'm turning it, and this is now the 4 inch side. Half is 2 inches. So I'm going to line that up here. We're going to come back inside the track and make another pencil mark. Now I know this is black cardstock, so I want to hold it up so that you can see it a little bit better. You're going to do this on both pieces. The next step is on one end, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Now there's measurements on this side, which will allow me to hold the paper a little bit better here. So I'm going to line it up at the 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to score. This is going to be the area that's going to allow us to place adhesive. Now from the center to the corners, we are going to cut. Now obviously you can use your scissors if you'd like, and you can use a pencil to trace and then cut. But I find it works much, much better when I use my paper trimmer because I get a nice precise cut. What you're going to do is you're going to pivot the paper inside the cutting track, which is this black strip here. I'm going to make sure that the tip is within the track. I'm going to close the clear cutting guide, and now I can pivot the cardstock. I'm looking here for that little connection of where the pencil marks are, and I know you've got some glare from the studio lights, and I do apologize for that, but I can see it very, very well. And we are going to slice with the cutting blade up to that little X. Now we're going to pivot it, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to close the guide. I'm looking for the center right here inside the track. I'm looking to make sure that the bottom tip is here within the cutting guide. Once I'm happy with it, we are going to slice up. This piece is then going to come out. You're going to do the exact same thing on the other piece as well. You'll need 2 of these. I have my 2 pieces here, and you can see the pencil marks. Now you can go ahead and erase those, but I'm just going to flip them over just to make it easier for myself. You're going to crease on that little score line. I do recommend that you go over it with the bone folder because you want them to be nice and crisp for the fun fold. I'm going to set these off to the side, and we're going to come back to the actual bridge of the card. Before you joined me, I used the 2 3/8 inch circle punch, and I punched out a circle from scrap cardstock, and I labeled it tracing template so that I could keep it to make future shutter cards. The reason I'm using the template is I have found that it's easier for me to determine the center if I can trace this rather than using the punch as an actual guide itself. So I'm going to place this where I think looks visually center. I'm going to take my pencil, and then I'm going to trace the outside perimeter. Again, I think that's going to be really difficult to see, but you can see it here, and I know I can see it really well in person. Now I can come in with my punch. I'm going to use it upside down, and I am going to mimic the traced outline with the punch. Once I'm happy with it, you're just going to punch. Save this piece. That's going to leave you this. We're going to come back here to the inside of the card base, and we're going to add some dimensionals. You're going to place 3 dimensionals here across the bottom, 1 on each corner and then 1 in the center. You'll take 3 more, and you're going to do the exact same thing at the top. This next step is very, very important. You are only going to remove the paper backings from the ones at the bottom. I'm going to be using my Take Your Pick tool. It has the paper piercing tool attachment that just makes it nice and easy, and I can wrangle those pieces. I'm going to take this piece, and now I am going to center it here on the bottom. So I am looking visually. Again, if you're persnickety about this, you can go ahead and bring out your ruler. So I'm looking to align the bottom of this to the bottom of the card base. I'm looking a little bit left and right just to try to make it as equal as possible. Remember, the top is free. This is where the shutters come in. Again, you're going to have 2 of them, 1 for each side. My pencil marks are to the back, or of course you could have erased them. I'm going to open up the area that I have scored. You're going to want to use tear and tape or a very strong adhesive here, and I'm using Stampin' Seal Plus. I'm placing adhesive in that 1/2 inch area. I'm going to turn the card base sideways to make it easier for me visually. I know that the score line is here. I'm going to slide the shutter underneath the opening. And I'm looking to center the shutter the best I can within the center of the circle. I'm making sure I'm not going all the way up to the score line. I'm leaving it just a tiny bit of room there so that this will close well. Once you're happy with it, I'm going to go ahead and place my fingers here, and then I'm simply going to press and close. What's going to happen is it's now going to attach itself to the inside of the gatefold, and you're going to see how this pivots. Now we're going to turn this, and we're going to do the same thing on this side, but I've got some important tips for you. Go ahead and open up the shutter once again and add your adhesive. This piece now is either going to go above or below the other shutter. It doesn't matter because they're just going to intersect. You're going to see here how I'm going to position it once again, just like we did before. But very, very important, again, not too close to the score line. I want you to look here and here, but I want to make sure that these tips are aligned with the outside edges of this shutter. You don't want it like this. You want to make sure they're aligned perfectly. And again, you want to make sure it's aligned here near the score line. So it's going to pick it up but not be too far over that it's going to crease. Once these tips are aligned and you have this centered where you want it, I'm going to hold it here in the middle. And once again, we are going to close the shutter and we are going to press. That then is going to create the shutter opening for the card. Now you might be wondering, how do we get the sentiment inside? Let's work on that next. I've used the same punch and I've punched another circle. This circle can be bigger if you'd like. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. I'm going to be using Memento black ink for this. And from the bundle, Ornamental Christmas, I've pulled out the words Be Jolly. There are coordinating dies with this that we're going to use for the closure of the card. Let's go ahead, let's ink that up, and we're going to stamp that right here in the middle. We're going to take the greeting and we're going to flip it upside down. And I like adhesive for this next step. So I'm going to add some Stampin' Seal Plus to the back of my punch circle. You're going to see how it sticks to your finger, which is going to allow you to navigate this behind the shutters. Remember, we left this open. So behind the bridge and behind the shutters, we are going to slide this in, coming from the top. And you can see very easily that you can adjust the placement of where you want your greeting to go. Once you're happy with it, simply let go and then press. It'll stick to the back of the card itself. Give the shutter a quick check to make sure that it's going to be perfectly revealed. And then what you're going to do is you're gently bow the cardstock here at the top and remove the dimensionals. This now should line up with the top of the base of the card. And then just press those dimensionals down. The dimensionals give space here for the shutters to move between them. If you go to close your card and you're finding that it gets stuck, it's because your shutter tips are getting scrunched, which means you didn't measure or cut exactly perfect. None of us does. So I'm going to give you a cheating tip. Take your scissors and cut off maybe 1/8 of an inch here at the tip. You're going to do that on both of them. The cardstock will have creased where you actually need to cut off the excess. Now you'll notice that the card closes a lot easier because there's nothing hinging here near the sides. Now let's talk about creating a beautiful closure for this card. Remember this piece that we punched out from the bridge? You can save it and you can actually use it for the front of the card. Now I opted for a larger image, so I won't be using this now, but you can certainly save it for a future project, or it's an idea for another card. Before you join me, I die cut a 3-inch circle here from the Ornamental Christmas dies. We're going to be using this as well for the ornament image. And I use another pattern from that same package of Designer Series paper for the ornament. From gold foil, I die cut one of the toppers. And then finally from Spotlight on Nature, I die cut another circle here. And I love how all the dies are able to layer together. I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet underneath me, which is going to protect my work surface. I'm going to add liquid glue to the circle. This now will get adhered here, leaving a small margin of that black cardstock showing all the way around. When the ornament is die cut, there's an area here for you to add the topper. I'm going to be using my reversible tweezers to extend my reach for this small piece. You'll find those linked for you on my website under Shop Craft Room Favorites as well. And that's going to get attached here. I'm going to flip this upside down. I'm going to grab a few dimensionals. I'm going to place one here at the top. I'm going to make sure that this is well braced. Another here at the bottom, and of course one in the center. I'll use my Take Your Pick tool to remove those paper backings. And this now will get adhered here to the center of the circles. You're going to place this on the front of the gatefold, but only on the left-hand side because you need to keep it free on this side so that the receiver can open it. I am going to turn this upside down and I'm going to visually find the center of the image. So it's going to be from here to here over. I'm going to use dimensionals. I found that that works really, really well. If you're not sure exactly where they're going to go, I always say use less instead of more. And then we'll remove those paper backings. We're going to take this and place our fingers here to make sure that it doesn't fall in the center of that gatefold. And then we're going to line this up with the center of the ornament here on the crease of the card, and we're going to gently press. When you open, you should see no dimensionals here. There should be sufficient dimensionals to anchor the image on the front of the card. And the best part of all is when you see the other cards I created for you, you can use all different kinds of shapes to create the card. Now there's one last thing I wanted to do to this card. These are the traditional sparkling sequins. Another tip for you, I always write the colors, which I get off the website, inside the top flap of the embellishments. It makes it quick and easy for me as I'm designing my projects. I don't have to guess what blues those are or what greens those are. I'm going to use my paper piercing tool attachment. Once again, I'm going to pick up one of these large ones. And I love these because they are flat. There is going to be no added postage whatsoever. And I think on a Christmas card, you can never have too much bling. Because they're flat, if you wanted to add more inside of these areas, you can. This is the card I shared with you in the very beginning without designer series paper here in the center, but you'll see that I did embellish it. So depending on how much paper you have and how much you want to use, you can certainly do that. Also, I'm going to call your attention to this. I die cut another circle from the same pattern. So instead of it being black, you can have designer series paper here. So there's lots of variations on how you can spruce up your card. Now let me share with you those other projects I made for you using this easy shutter card for Christmas idea. This next one uses the Gingerbread Man bundle. So cute. Photopolymer stamp set, so you can stamp your images or you can die cut them. And they are connected here, which means you can make adorable tags or cards. Lots of accessories to create lots of fun little images with your gingerbread man. And here's the shutter card I created for this one. There's a die here so that you can break off your little gingerbread cookie if you choose. And then when you open it, you're going to have your shutter on the inside that says, "Oh snap, Seasons Eatings." It's very whimsical and lots of fun. And you can see I mixed and matched the designer series papers. These papers come from Christmas Tags and More, and again, brand new. I've got one more to share with you. This last one is going to be using the Delicate Pines bundle. Pretty, lots of options here to create custom snowflakes by building the pieces. There's also pine cones and greenery, lots of use throughout the winter months. This also has coordinating designer series paper that you'll see here. It's called Elegant Pines Snowflakes. I stamped the snowflakes. I added some beautiful holographic dots to this, some metallic threads, which I love for the holidays. That's a craft room favorite, that metallic thread. And then when you open up the shutter card, you're going to see inside here we have our greeting, Warmest Winter Wishes. Use your designer series paper scraps up to make some really beautiful cards and decorate your panels, or leave them blank as I did on the original card that I shared with you. Lots of options for you to DIY your holiday cards this year. I love your feedback, so do me a favor and pop down right now in the comments and let me know which one of those cards you prefer. Will you add designer series paper to both the inside and outside flaps? Will you just embellish it? Or will you keep it nice and simple and just use beautiful cardstock? Whatever you're going to do, I cannot wait to hear about it. And there's something else you need to hear about, and that is the online stamping retreat. Session number 3 for this year is going to take place on Saturday, October 4th, if you're here in the US, Canada, or Europe. Now, if you're in Australia or New Zealand, that'll be October 5th. And you are not going to want to miss this full day fun fold card making event. Gina and I partner with Kylie Bertucci and her amazingly talented husband, Bruno Bertucci. You're going to love the fun fold cards that we have for you. But aside from the live demonstrations, there's even more to love about the online stamping retreat. Once you register, you're going to gain online access to the event. There you'll be able to find pictures and cutting dimensions so that you can pre-cut your projects ahead of time if you want to stamp along with us. But many people just love the event to be able to watch, and they love the fact they have lifetime access so they can come back and recreate the projects at their own pace. There are going to be 32 projects in all, and we always throw in a couple bonus projects here and there. You're going to get a full-length, beautiful color PDF tutorial, and the best part about that is you are going to have it thumbnail driven, which means the cover of the PDF tutorial is going to have pictures of the cards. And all you'll have to do is click on it, which will immediately take you to the page for that specific project. We've made it professional and easy for you. And we know everybody loves giveaways. We do 50 giveaways during this event. The best part about our online stamping retreat is the live interaction you're going to have with one another and of course with us as we present. We hope that you'll register for the online stamping retreat. It's $45 for everything, and we hope to see you there. I would love to have you like this video by clicking the thumbs up below by the title. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. I have so many more amazing things coming up to share with you. Make sure you click to learn some other fun full tutorials that I'm going to place right here on the screen for you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.